The first time Elias saw the cemetery, it was in a dream. Except when he woke, there was dirt under his fingernails and dew on his boots. He hadn't left his bed, he was sure of that, but his shirt smelled faintly of smoke and wild thyme. And the floor by the door was damp with footprints. One set leading in, none leading out. The dream had shown him a narrow trail through the woods, lit by a blood-orange moon. So just after dawn, he followed it. And there it was, a rusted iron gate, half buried in ivy, creaking in the breeze. Beyond it stretched a vast field, untouched and silent. No headstones, no crypts, no sign of the dead. Just a meadow of soft, sunken grass that twitched like something underneath was trying to wake up. Elias hesitated at the gate, one hand resting on the cold iron. Every instinct told him to turn back, but something deeper, quieter, older, pulled him forward. The air beyond the threshold was colder, heavier. He stepped through. Elias stared across the open field, breathing hard. He circled the space slowly, the truth gnawing at him. This was a cemetery. He could feel it. The silence wasn't natural. It was burial silence. Thick, heavy, reverent. And yet, no graves. But graves don't just disappear. He dropped to his knees and dug with his bare hands. A few inches down, the dirt turned cold. Unnaturally cold. He scraped faster, heart racing. Then he hit something hard. Wood. A coffin? No, not a coffin. A splintered lid, cracked open from the inside. No bones, no rot. Instead, it was filled with visions, fluttering fragments of what once was. A violin snapped at the neck. A child's drawing, edges burnt. Journals with blank pages that bled ink when touched. He saw a hand reach out, trembling, calloused. A craftsman's hand, only to vanish in smoke before it could grasp the tools lying beside it. Dreams, gifts, passions, all sealed away before they ever lived. This wasn't a graveyard of the dead. It was a graveyard of the undone. Elias stumbled back, the weight of it all crushing him. All around him, the earth began to shift. More splintered coffins surfaced, each one coughing up the essence of someone's wasted life. A half-finished song echoed from one. Another spilled out letters never sent, words never spoken, and love never confessed. And then he heard his name, soft, urgent. He turned, and there, standing where the tree once stood, was a version of himself, younger, brighter-eyed, holding a sketchbook he hadn't seen since he was 15, the one he threw away the night his father said, "That's not a real career." The ghost of his own abandoned self stared at him. "You buried me here," it whispered. Elias couldn't speak. His throat closed like a fist. The younger version of himself stepped closer, sketchbook in hand, pages fluttering in a wind Elias couldn't feel. The boy's eyes were glassy, but behind them burned a quiet fire, the kind Elias hadn't known in years. "I drew worlds," the boy said, voice quivering. "I made them real. You told me we'd never stop, that we'd get out of that house, fill the world with our stories. But you let him bury me." "I didn't know," Elias whispered. The boy smiled, a cold, sad thing. "You always know. You just forget." That's why you're here again. Again? A chill rolled down Elias's spine. He turned in place, scanning the empty meadow. Suddenly, he saw faint outlines, dozens of other Eliases, flickering like candlelight, scattered through the field. One slumped over a broken easel. Another wept in a hollow where a piano lay in pieces. Another clawed at the dirt, trying to reach something buried too deep. Each one was a version of him that never made it. Each one had come back. "You're not dreaming, Elias," the boy said gently. "You're remembering." The wind rose, the field trembled, the earth cracked at the edges. The empty sky darkened, pulsing with the weight of every abandoned thing. "You can go back," the boy continued, offering the sketchbook. "But only if you take me with you. All of me. Everything you left behind." Elias's fingers hovered over the sketchbook. His pulse thundered in his ears. And then he understood. The cemetery had no graves because it never buried the dead. It buried the forgotten gifts, the abandoned paths, the talents silenced by fear, the passions smothered by shame. Elias stared at the boy, his boy, the version of himself still burning with wonder, trembling under the weight of years unlived. The sketchbook pulsed in the boy's hands like a beating heart, pages fluttering as if wind tore through a life that never got to breathe. All around them, the cemetery came alive. The ground burst open, not with force, but with sorrow, lifting gently, reverently, like offerings. Light poured from their seams, not harsh light, memory light, soft and golden and aching. A dancer twirled in slow motion, barefoot in the grass, until she dissolved into mist. A poet whispered lines into the wind, only for them to scatter like leaves. A woman sculpted something beautiful with bleeding hands, then vanished before it was finished. And every one of them were unused talents. Elias staggered back, gasping. The air cracked with electricity. His pulse thundered. The grass beneath his feet curled inwards, pulling, tugging, pleading. "Do you feel it now?" the boy asked, voice breaking. "This is where everything went when you gave up." Tears burned Elias's eyes, not just for what he saw, but for what he remembered. The night he threw the sketchbook in the fire, the job he took just to survive, the silence that followed the dream he never chased. The boy stepped closer, holding out the book. "You don't get to forget this time," he said. "If you leave without us, we stay buried forever." The wind howled. Thunder cracked in the distance. The cemetery groaned beneath their feet like it was waking up, angry. Elias reached forward, hand shaking, heart wide open. And in that moment, everything stood still. The field fell silent. The boy's eyes glistened. The air held its breath. This wasn't a choice between life and death. It was a choice between existing or truly living. And Elias chose. He wrapped his arms around the boy, his younger self, and pulled him close. The sketchbook pressed between them, warm as a living thing. The boy was crying now. "Don't leave me here again." "I won't," Elias whispered. And just like that, the boy stepped inside him, like breath returning to lungs. The ground stopped shaking, the silence eased, and when he opened his eyes, the cemetery vanished. He was back in his room, but it wasn't the same. There was dirt beneath his nails, wild thyme on his skin, and in his lap, resting quietly, the sketchbook, unburned, unfinished, waiting. And for the first time in decades, Elias picked up a pencil with steady hands. He had buried it once, but now it was his turn to bring it back to life.